Okay, I want you to picture, just for a second, the traditional nativity scene. You're the one.
It's on every Christmas card.
Exactly. You've got the little wooden manger, maybe a donkey in the corner, soft starlight, the shepherds all looking peaceful. It's, silent, holy, cozy.
It's the image we all grew up with. Silent night, holy night.
Right. Now, I want you to take that image and just, well, throw it completely out the window.
Okay.
Replace it with a woman who is literally on fire with the brightness of the sun, standing on the actual moon in deep space, screaming in agony.
Yeah.
And standing in front of her isn't 3 wise men with gifts. It's a 7-headed red dragon the size of a solar system, just waiting to eat the baby the second it comes out.
It definitely changes the vibe of the holiday season, doesn't it?
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
But this is the opening scene of Revelation chapter 12. And today we are doing a deep dive into what is arguably the most dramatic, symbolic, and frankly, terrifying sequence in the entire Bible.
Oh, for sure.
We have a stack of commentaries, historical analysis, all kinds of linguistic breakdowns to help us figure out what on earth, or I guess in heaven, is actually going on here.
And it is such a crucial deep dive to make. Because Revelation 12 isn't just some, weird sci-fi vision that John had on Patmos. The sources we're looking at today argue this chapter is actually kind of the Rosetta Stone for understanding the whole book.
The lens that focuses everything else.
Exactly. It explains the why behind the war.
So our mission today is to decode this cosmic map. We need to identify the players. The woman, the dragon, the child, and the offspring. And we need to understand the strategy because this is, in essence, a war room briefing.
It really is. A briefing on a conflict that spans millennia.
So let's start with that first character on the stage, the woman. Verse 1 describes her as clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a garland of 12 stars. Now, I think most people, myself included, have always just heard that this is Mary, the mother of Jesus.
And that's the most common association. It makes perfect sense on the surface, right? She's pregnant, she gives birth to the Messiah, it fits.
Yeah.
But the sources, they all point out that if you strictly apply the rules of biblical symbolism, Mary is actually too small of a category for this specific image.
Too small? How so?
Well, think about the scale of the imagery. The sun, the moon, 12 stars. This isn't a new image that John is just inventing. He's ripping a page straight out of the Old Testament.
Oh, where from?
Genesis chapter 37, specifically.
The story of Joseph.
Exactly. Joseph, the dreamer. He has a dream where the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bow down to him. And he's the 12th star.
Right, right.
And in that context, the Bible explicitly tells us what the symbols mean. The sun is his father, Jacob. The moon is his mother, Rachel. And the stars are his brothers.
The 12 tribes of Israel.
The 12 tribes of Israel.
Oh, wow. So when John sees this woman in Revelation,
he is seeing a personification of the entire nation of Israel, the covenant people of God throughout history. And this distinction is vital because it explains the labor pains in verse 2. Mary's physical labor was, relatively short, but the woman here is described as being in this prolonged, agonizing labor.
which symbolizes what? Exactly.
The groaning of the nation. The sources really emphasize that for centuries, Israel was in a state of prophetic labor. They were waiting, suffering under occupations, longing for the Messiah. It's the spiritual agony of a nation waiting for its deliverer.
That adds so much more weight to it. It's not just a biological birth. It's a historical climax.
The culmination of thousands of years of promises. But then enter the antagonist, the great red dragon.
And what a villain he is. Yeah, let's unpack him. The text says he has 7 heads, 10 horns, and 7 diadems. And he's red.
Fiery red.
Fiery red. Now, we know this is Satan. I mean, the text actually spoils that surprise a few verses later. But why this specific description? The heads and horns. It sounds like something from a generic fantasy novel.
It does, but every detail here is a piece of data. This is where we have to balance the supernatural with the geopolitical. The source material breaks it down like this. In prophetic literature, like the book of Daniel, beasts almost always represent empires.
Oh.
And horns represent kings, or centers of power.
So the dragon is a spiritual being, Satan, but he wears the costume of human empires.
Precisely. The dragon operates through political machinery. The 7 heads and 10 horns suggest a consolidation of world power. And those diadems, that's a specific Greek word for royal crowns, it signifies his permitted authority.
Permitted authority. That is an interesting phrase.
It means he's ruling, but only because he's being allowed to for a time. He's the god of this world, orchestrating human governments to achieve his goal. And the color red.
Violence.
Violence, a career of bloodshed.
Okay, so he's powerful, he's violent, he's organized. But then there's this detail in verse 4 that has always baffled me. It says his tail drew a third of the stars of heaven and threw them to the earth. Are we talking like literal astrophysics here?
A dragon knocking galaxies around.
Yeah.
Highly unlikely. Again, we have to use that decoder ring. In biblical symbolism, stars often refer to angelic beings. So most theologians and the sources we have agree this is a flashback.
A flashback to when?
To the original rebellion. Before human history even began, when Satan fell, he didn't fall alone. He convinced a third of the angelic host to defect with him.
So stars means angels.
Right. So you have this image of a cosmic civil war where a third of the military defects. That's the force behind the dragon. So when he stands before the woman, he's not just one entity. He's the general of a massive, unseen army of fallen spirits.
That is a cosmic standoff. So you have this massive army of fallen angels led by the dragon, and they are standing in front of the woman Israel waiting. It says he stood there to devour her child as soon as it was born.
A calculated assassination attempt. And the sources draw a fascinating parallel here to actual history. If the woman is Israel and the dragon works through empires, just look at the pattern.
You mean like back in Egypt?
Exactly. Think of Pharaoh. He ordered the death of all Hebrew baby boys in Exodus. That wasn't just cruelty. That was the dragon trying to stop the nation before a redeemer could even come. Then fast forward to the birth of Jesus. What does King Herod do?
He orders the slaughter of the innocents in Bethlehem.
It is the same war. The dragon knows a deliverer is coming, so he uses a human king to try and wipe out the threat before it can grow up.
It is chilling when you connect those dots. It's not random cruelty, it's strategic.
It is. But he fails. Verse 5, it says, "She bore a male child who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron, and her child was caught up to God and his throne."
Okay, I have to stop you here because this is one of the weirdest narrative choices in the Bible. We spend 4 Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, reading about Jesus' life, his teachings, miracles, the cross, the tomb. And here, it's just born, then caught up to heaven.
It's a summary.
It skips everything.
It's the ultimate TLDR, too long, didn't read.
Right. But why?
Because John isn't writing a biography here. He's writing a military situation report. The specific details of the ministry, they aren't the focus of this vision. The focus is the outcome. The dragon wanted to eat the child. The child not only survived, but ascended to the highest seat of authority in the universe.
Mission accomplished.
Exactly. The rod of iron represents absolute unbreakable rule. The dragon missed his window. The king is safe.
So the dragon takes a swing and a miss. The child is untouchable, but the woman Israel is still down here.
And that leads to the first escape. Verse 6 says she flees into the wilderness to a place prepared by God.
And we get a number. A very specific number. 12,260 days.
And if you're someone who's, into prophecy, your ears should really be perking up right about now.
Why is that number so significant?
Because it appears all over the Bible in different forms. 12,260 days is exactly 42 months, which is also a time times and half a time.
3.5 years.
3.5 years. And most scholars place this in the second half of the tribulation. The idea is there will be a future period of intense persecution where the dragon, realizing he can't touch Jesus, turns his full fury against the Jewish people. But God has a safe house prepared.
So the woman is in a safe house. But while she's hiding, the camera pans up. We leave the wilderness and we go back to space. Verse 7. And war broke out in heaven.
This is the turning point of cosmic history.
It's Michael and his angels versus the dragon and his angels. It sounds like the climax of a blockbuster movie.
It really does, but notice the result. It isn't a stalemate. The dragon is cast out.
Nor was a place found for them in heaven any longer.
That phrase, "no place found," it's almost legal terminology. And this is the biggest aha moment I had reading through these sources. We tend to think of this war as swords and lasers, but verse 10 suggests it's actually a courtroom drama.
A courtroom drama? How?
Look at the titles given to the enemy in verses 9 and 10. He's called the Great Dragon, the Serpent of Old, the Devil, and Satan.
Okay, let's break those down. Dragon is the monster.
Destructive power.
Serpent of gold.
That's a callback to the Garden of Eden. The deceiver. The liar,
Satan.
which means adversary.
And the devil.
The Greek word is diabolos. It literally means the slanderer or the accuser. And verse 10 celebrates because the accuser of our brethren has been cast down.
So wait, are you saying that before this war, Satan had access to heaven?
The text implies it. It seems he had standing to appear before God like a prosecuting attorney and bring charges against humanity.
Yep.
He stands there and points at you and says, "Look at what they did. They're guilty. You're a just God, so you must judge them."
He was using God's own justice against us.
Exactly. He wasn't fighting with power. He was fighting with guilt. But when he is cast down here, he's disbarred. He's thrown out of the court. He can no longer make the case.
Why not? Did he lose his license?
Because the defense attorney won. This connects to verse 11, how the believers overcame him.
They overcame him by the blood of the Lamb.
That's the legal argument. The accuser says they are guilty. The blood says the penalty is paid. Case dismissed.
That is incredibly powerful. It's not about how strong the believers are. It's about their legal standing.
Right. You don't defeat the accuser by saying, "I'm innocent." You defeat him by admitting you're guilty, but claiming you're covered.
But the verse doesn't stop there. It gives us 3 weapons.
Yeah.
The blood of the Lamb is first. What are the other 2?
The second is the word of their testimony.
Is that just preaching?
It's more than that. In a legal context, it's a witness taking the stand. It's publicly identifying yourself with the king. It's looking the dragon in the eye and saying, "I belong to Jesus." It's the refusal to be silent.
And the third weapon. This is the tough one. And they did not love their lives to the death.
Yeah. This is the ultimate counter move.
That sounds like a paradox.
Yeah.
How do you win by dying?
Well, think about how terrorism works. It works by fear. Do what I say or I will kill you. That's the dragon's ultimate leverage. But what happens if you face an opponent who isn't afraid to die?
The threat loses its power.
Exactly. If you have already surrendered your life to God, the dragon has nothing left to threaten you with. The source material puts it this way. Martyrdom it's not a defeat. It's the ultimate proof that the dragon has no hold on you. You're untouchable because you've already given your life away.
That changes the definition of winning, doesn't it?
It completely inverts it.
So heaven is rejoicing, the accuser is gone. But then verse 12 hits us with this ominous warning, woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea.
It's a serious mood whiplash.
Why the woe?
Because the devil has come down to you having great wrath, because he knows that he has a short time.
That short time part seems critical.
It is the Kimmy's psychological insight into the enemy. He isn't fighting with confidence anymore. He is fighting with panic. He knows he's been kicked out of headquarters. He knows the clock is ticking. He's a cornered animal.
A cornered animal with nuclear weapons.
Exactly. He is going to engage in a scorched earth policy. If he's going down, he wants to take as many people with him as he can.
So he hits the ground running. Verse 13 says he persecutes the woman who gave birth to the male child. He goes back after Israel.
Since he can't hurt Jesus, the child, he tries to destroy the family line that produced him.
And this is where we get that cryptic imagery in verse 14. The woman is given 2 wings of a great eagle so she can fly into the wilderness. Now, I have seen some wild interpretations of this. Helicopters, spaceships.
I've seen the theories about the American Air Force, Lord of the Rings, eagles.
Right. But the sources bring us back to the text, don't they?
Again, it's an Exodus callback.
Right.
Exodus 19.4. God tells Israel, "I bore you on eagle's wings and brought you to myself." It wasn't literal birds then. It was a metaphor for speed, strength, and supernatural protection. God is evacuating his people.
To that safe place for a time, times and half a time.
There's that 3.5-year marker again.
So the dragon chases her, but she's too fast. Protected. So he changes tactics, verse 15. So the serpent spewed water out of his mouth like a flood after the woman.
It's a grotesque image, vomiting a river.
What is this flood?
Interpretations vary, but they all point to something overwhelming. In the Old Testament, floods often represent invading armies. It could be a massive military invasion aimed at wiping out the Jewish people.
Could it be symbolic of something else?
Some sources suggest a flood of deception, propaganda, a wave of lies designed to drown the truth and sweep people away in confusion.
But whatever it is, army or lies, it fails.
Right. Verse 16 says, "The earth opened its mouth and swallowed up the flood."
That sounds like an earthquake.
Could be literal God using nature to destroy an army, or it could be geopolitical, the earth representing, stable populations of the world, just absorbing and neutralizing the attack. The point is, the environment itself turns against the dragon.
It's like Wile E. Coyote.
I'm sorry.
Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. Every trap he sets backfires. The dragon tries to eat the baby, misses, tries to fight in heaven, gets thrown out, tries to flood the woman, the earth swallows it.
That is a surprisingly accurate theological analogy. He's powerful, yes, but he is constantly being outmaneuvered by providence. He is the ultimate loser of the story.
But he is a sore loser. And this leads us to the final verse, verse 17. The dragon is enraged with the woman, and he goes to make war with the rest of her offspring.
This is the pivotal moment for us. This is where we enter the chat.
Who are the rest of her offspring?
The text defines them clearly. Those who keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ.
That's the church.
That's us. That is every believer, Jewish or Gentile, who follows Jesus.
So let me get the logic straight. He hates the woman Israel because she brought the Messiah. He hates the Messiah Jesus, but can't touch him. He tries to wipe out Israel, but she's supernaturally protected. So who is left?
The other kids, the adopted siblings, the church.
That explains so much.
It really does. It explains why the Christian life is described as warfare. It explains why throughout history there is such irrational hostility toward the testimony of Jesus. The dragon is frustrated. He can't get the primary targets, so he turns his guns on anyone who looks like the family.
It makes the struggle feel personal, but it also validates it. We're targets because of who we're related to.
Exactly. We're in the crosshairs because we bear the name of the king he couldn't defeat.
So we have unpacked a lot here. We've gone from a pregnant woman in the stars to a courtroom drama in heaven to a gritty survival story on the ground.
It's a lot to process.
But as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to circle back to the core message. Because reading this, you could easily get overwhelmed by the monsters and the floods.
That's the danger. You can focus so much on the dragon that you miss the victory.
But the map is pretty clear about the winner.
It is. The child ascends, the dragon is cast down, the woman is protected, the believers overcome by the blood.
And the accuser is silenced.
That's the headline. His legal power is broken. All he has left is noise and violence. But he has no real authority over those who are covered.
It changes how you watch the news, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, when you see chaos in the world or when you feel that spiritual pressure.
You realize it's not a sign that the enemy is winning.
Right. And that brings me to the thought I want to leave everyone with today.
Go for it.
We talked about the dragon's great wrath. And the Bible specifically says he's furious because he knows his time is short.
The countdown clock.
Exactly. So here's the question. If the dragon's rage is fueled specifically by the knowledge that he is running out of time, how much the chaos we see in the world right now is simply the panic of a defeated enemy?
That is a very provocative question.
Is he roaring because he's strong, or is he roaring because he's terrified?
Something to think about.
And that wraps up our deep dive into the cosmic battle of Revelation 12. Thanks for exploring the map with us.
See you next time.